Your thoughts?
What? What? Who?
Nice.
Good morning, happy Monday, the 24th day of February, and for the first time in a week and a half, it's over 40 degrees on a Monday. How does that feel, you know? How are you guys doing today? We got Gene and Don in studio. Grafton Art Gallery is how we're going to start our show today, and it's been a while in the making. Jackie's been on the show a couple of times, filling us in on the really great work that, you know, the artists and you guys have been putting in, along with the community coming together. We had talked about a Christmas story, the Christmas story exhibit that you guys were having in November and December. How'd that go?
Well, really quite well. We had some very interesting art. We as a part of the gallery is our special exhibit, and that's where we had the exhibit. But it was a lot of interest. We had some nice sales. It was good, and we had. We're really pleased, and along that time, we met some new artists coming in too, and so forth.
Well, and you know, Gene, I think I break the ice now by saying, Don, I'm a very jealous man. I've always dreamed of painting that way, and I can't even draw a stick figure, and this is just so impressive. Really just a great piece there.
Well, thank you. And CJ, I could teach you how to draw a stick figure and a whole lot more than that.
We're going to get there in a second. Well, you know, before we get into all the events and classes, let's talk about Grafton Art Gallery as a whole. You know, Gene, how did this all come together?
Well, I had the opportunity to go to college, not needing it for a vocation, and I studied what I wanted to, which was art. I got a degree in art history and minors in painting and photography. And I've done some of it along the line. And then this building became available in Grafton. We moved to Grafton almost 20 years ago. And it just seemed like the right place, the right location, and the right timing. And there were a bunch of artists in and around Grafton. Mm-hmm. And that we knew of, and one thing led to another, and pretty soon it went well. We had some very nice help along the way from a couple of ladies, Paula Jameson to begin with, and then Jackie Duty came along and really was a shot in the arm.
Really,
and I think you've known Jackie probably for some time, but anyway, and it's worked well.
Well, and you know what I think's great too, and I'm sure you've seen this firsthand, is that it seems like the Grafton community is really great about, you know, especially when you guys opened, just coming together and really supporting this, and it really did seem like there was just a lot of excitement, and that excitement's still there.
Well, it is really from a lot of people. Mm-hmm. You know, they're saying whatever is, even don't close during the winter, and this kind of stuff. Anyway, but it's gone very, 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 very well, really. That being said.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you know, there's always something that you guys are putting on with, and you know, having Jackie coming in and all these collaborative ideas, it seems like, you know, there's really great, you know, ways to grow for local artists. Because I keep telling people, this region has like a really unique, almost Renaissance-esque feel to it, because there's so many talented artists from all different styles of art and all different works of art too.
Absolutely. And then Don moved to Grafton not too terribly long ago, and we have a mutual friend who connected us together, and we just kind of clicked. And he's many years experience teaching art, and quite a talented painter, photographer, drawer, especially drawing. Anyway.
Really great. And you know, Don, what's it like to have, you know, a Grafton Art Gallery in the region?
That's just awesome, honestly, because I've never dreamed. I love the river, love living in Grafton. Been here about 12 years now, but having an art gallery right here, that's awesome.
Well, and now you'll be teaching classes at the art gallery and really providing that opportunity for so many. And what do you think you look forward to the most? Is it getting to know the artist, or is it getting to see their progression? Because it seems like every artist has their own unique personality that eventually showcases through their work.
That's a great question. I've actually thought a lot about that just in the last few weeks as we've been planning this, because I always like seeing the progression. I taught art in Carrollton, Illinois high school, junior high for 25 years.
Oh wow!
And I loved seeing students learn to do things they thought they could never do. And that's really exciting. And I also taught some adult classes in the evenings. In fact, my mother was one of my students there, taught her how to paint.
How'd that go?
Really well. She's done some great stuff. I thought about bringing one of her pictures too. She really excelled, and she had never done it her whole life. But with this class, I'm sure I'll have people there that I will learn from. Because with this kind of a class, you have to take people at whatever level they are at the moment, and some of them may be better than me. That's fine. I hope I get some of those.
Well, 100%. Now, the class drawing for serious fun, correct?
Yes.
Well, and what I think so unique about this too is everybody kind of can find their own path in art, and can find their own path in drawing, and it really is really cool for me to go to an art museum or go to an exhibit somewhere and seeing the different, curators of it and seeing the different artists behind those pieces, because the folks that you walk by in the grocery store, you wouldn't ever realize are sometimes behind some of this,
Very true.
What have you seen, Gene, in terms of just, local artists since the time that Grafton Art Gallery's been open? Take me through just your firsthand experience on this with just in terms of local art.
Yes, it was a little different being in your 80s when you started.
That's what I was going to ask you, too. I'm getting there.
But anyway, we had some real serious interest. One of our artists is not only is he very good at drawing and painting, but he's also an author. Mike Mull, Mayor, has some stuff there, and the book that he's written. I've made a list of some of the people I'd like to mention because some of them are well known. Yeah. Bert Vandermark is a painter. We've got Helen Sluter, a well-known photographer in the entire area. Marty McKay from here in
she takes
here in Alton.
Great photos.
Lou Ann Branch, Jackie Duty paints and does photography. We have Kaylin Gauthier with she's an insect taxidermist and does some wonderful jewelry.
Yes, she does. Yes, she does.
Terrariums. And also David Bailey is a silversmith in I think Edwardsville. Anyway, who does wonderful jewelry. We've got some jewelry. Artistic stuff. It's not stuff you can go into and buy
in a big box store. Right. That's for sure.
But we've got some very nice painters, some very good photography, and we've got some sculpture. But we need another sculpture or two. Whatever they do, we like to look at because everybody's different,
right?
And it's amazing. And just sit and talk with Don has been an education on my part. It really has, and we're really looking forward to that. And we've got another couple of people that we have someone who wants to teach watercolor, Lou Ann Branch, and Bert Vandermark can teach. He taught at WashU, and but he can teach acrylics. Is what's his favorite thing to do, but and with an abstract bent to it. Anyway, that's pretty much the one I do not. It's the last name like Smith. I don't remember everybody else's name.
I didn't even know what I had for breakfast. I'll be honest with you.
But anyway, there's a number of others.
Well, it's really great that you point that out, though, because when you go in, especially for folks that maybe have been wanting to go out there, and they're waiting for warmer months or that calendar to kind of turn over to April or May and enjoy the river on a warmer day, but I mean, there's so much there that you're going to immerse yourself into from what you have on display, from what people can actually take home, and that's another big thing.
No, it is, and it's been a pleasure because we're small, but we've got a chance to hear the story, and sometimes the story is every bit as interesting as the art.
Yeah.
And with a couple of people, even more so.
I'm sure. Trust me. On this show, I can tell you that one for sure. Don, I haven't forgotten about your classes, and we're going to dive on into them. Can we take a quick break?
Can do
that?
You sure?
I'm going to pay my first bill of the week. It's 39 degrees. It's dropping out there. That's not good. 9:20. We'll take a quick break. More Daily Show on this Monday morning right after this.
Hey, would you drop by the pharmacy? My doctor switched my cholesterol medication.
Yeah, will do, honey. I'm glad he's looking out for you.
OSF Healthcare can handle all of your family's primary care needs, including managing chronic conditions. Schedule an appointment today.
What are you doing?
We did our home insurance ourselves, but don't feel protected.
So you're building your own American Family Insurance roof line?
Yeah, life's better when you're protected under American Family's roof.
That's not how it works.
Dad, we'll go. It's gonna hit.
See, that's how it works.
For real protection, save up to 23% by bundling your home and auto with us.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
No matter the season, Play It Again Sports in Edwardsville has the gear the athletes need to get in the game. Whether you're shopping for the newest sports equipment or saving money on quality used gear, Play It Again Sports carries what you need to maximize performance to get the most out of every swing, kick, stroke, or shot. We'll even buy your used goods, paying cash on the spot. We carry all the gear for all the sports all year long. We're your hometown sporting goods store. Play It Again Sports, conveniently located at 4 Club Center Court in Edwardsville. Picture This and More has been a trusted name in the Alton community for more than 30 years, with the last 3 being right here on Broadway. We specialize in quality framing at affordable prices. We also feature works by local artists because we're proud of our community. If you have valued treasures to display and preserve, we're sure to have the perfect fit with our large selection of custom framing and display options. Whatever color, shape, or size, Picture This and More has the look you need. Stop by today and let us help you with your next project.
Village Dispensary has the best deals in Godfrey, Illinois with specials 5 days a week. Mondays roll in the week with 20 to 30% off select pre-rolls. Tasty Tuesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select edibles. Waxy Wednesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select concentrate and vape brands. Thirsty Thursdays, sip and save with 20 to 30% off all drinks. Flower Friday, grab select 3.5 gram flower deals starting at just $20. Village Dispensary, come meet your best buds.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Hello, it's me. I've thought about us for a long, long time.
The time is 9:23 on this 24th day of February. Our Daily Show continues. We're in our gallery. Don Jean back in the studio. And, this has just been catching my eye, Don, all the last 20 minutes or so. I mean, this is just a beautiful work of art. And is this kind of your style? Is this what you like to work on?
Well, I really like that one. Acrylic is a medium I prefer. And one thing, the class coming up is drawing. And I just want to make this point really fast, is that any kind of painting that involves any even quasi-realism, drawing is the foundational skill. If you can learn to draw, you can learn to paint. It's not, that's the foundation of everything. Learning how to balance things out and the eye movement on the piece and that sort of thing. But Yeah, that's I don't know. I've done portraits. I've done portraits of dogs, of people, portraits of one of my favorites was that somebody commissioned was their old homestead, and they had an old photograph. The place had been torn down, and it was a beautiful picture. It was actually in black and white. That didn't help, but the picture was so good, it broke my heart when I had to give it to him.
I bet, yeah.
It's like, really? I have to give this to you now? But
well, and you know what I find just going back and circling back to where you said drawing's really the foundation for this. Is there a breakthrough moment? You know, you've taught for 25 years. What's the breakthrough moment in terms of just basic drawing and knowledge for most students? Is there an aha moment when, you know, because for me, I think of drawing as my 3 dimensions, drawing the 2 squares and connecting the lines, and we got a cube. But, you know, is there a moment to where you start learning shading? Is it perception? What does it?
Perception is the key word, because if you can look at it and really understand what you're looking at, you can draw it.
Wow.
So the drawing skill is really in the mind. It's not in your hands. It's not a tactile. I mean, tactile is obviously involved,
right?
But that's not where it comes from. Most people looking at that deer, whether in real life or a picture, they think they see it, but they're not really seeing the different parts of it and the components of it and how the shapes work together. And learning to see those things is really crucial. You mentioned stick figure. Nobody draws it like hangman. I used to play hangman all the time. But virtually nobody puts in the hips or the shoulders. Nobody does that.
Right.
And when people try to actually draw a person, they tend to do almost the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I get it. Well, whenever is it one of those things when you're looking at pieces and you're understanding, is it one of those for most people you have to do it to truly understand it? Or does it take more than that?
Well, yeah, you have to do it. And one thing I always fought, put that in quotes, with my students in high school and junior high, and I actually had the opportunity to teach some lower grades, and I found that my most talented group one particular year were 4th graders.
Wow.
Because they listened. And when I told them not to erase, they didn't. And my high school students were the biggest challenge because they put down a line and they erase it and put down a line and erase it because they're afraid to make a mistake. You can't be afraid to make a mistake. You cannot be afraid to make a mistake. But I think the real aha moment is when you decide that you just have to learn how to do this.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was pretty young. I can't tell you exactly how old. I might have been 8 or 9. And one of my older brothers came in the house, and I was reading a big book. It was like a big book, like this big. I love to read. That's my other love is literature. But this was when I was from when I was really, really little. I wanted all these books, but they had to have good artwork, or I didn't want them. I didn't want to look at it if it didn't. Yeah. I loved the artwork. And I was reading a big book, color book of The Wizard of Oz. And my brother sat down at the table where I was reading, pulled out a piece of paper, and drew a picture of a flying monkey. And that was the moment I still remember. I have to learn how to do this. I have to learn. I mean, there was a fire. And I think that's really, if you have that desire, you can learn.
100%.
You can learn.
100%. Gene, you picked a good instructor.
I think we did. He kind of, Mayor Morrow kind of found him for us, and then we kind of clicked. We sit down and we could sit and talk, and not from too many different generations. we both
is
seen
true.
a lot. And
he's a little ahead of me, not much.
he keeps trying to catch up, but I'm not going to let him.
Well, and new art classes that are coming to the gallery. Let's talk about. Is it just the drawing for serious fun? Is that the big one we're promoting today?
Well, that's the beginning.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to have others, and we'd like to get up. We have a nice classroom. We can seat about a dozen. And still have room for the instructor to move around and talk to the individuals, because I know Don likes to talk to each individual one. Who,
like that.
Someone might be ahead over here and behind here. Somebody might be more experienced, needs more work on perspective.
Yeah.
And this one got anyway. It's going to be good. We've got we have somebody coming in to do watercolors, and we've had abstract there, and that was interesting. I took that myself. I'm probably going to take one of Don's classes, because you cannot, no two artists specialize in doing the same thing the same way. They might want to specialize doing kind of the same thing, but they have their own bent. And somebody else's, being exposed to somebody else's, can only help.
Oh.
And it's been just very, very interesting, and we're so looking forward to this. We're going to start classes, I think, the 8th of May. 8th of March, excuse me.
Okay. Our meet and greet, which is the main thing we want to promote today, is on March the 1st. Did we have a time set for that?
I think it's 3 till 5 in the afternoon.
3 to 5?
I think. Anyway, we have flyers we're going to be putting around, and Jackie's going to be helping us get it out on the public media, and exactly when the classes are starting is kind of up. That's however we want to. It works best.
Okay.
As you know, we got to have more than one or two, but we can't have more than a dozen, and we really don't know. But I think people are going to be excited when they get a chance to meet Don and talk to him and ask him their questions.
Right.
Because that's the way we
Monday,
are.
March 10th is the first one.
March 10th, is that it? Okay.
So March 10th is when the classes start, but March the 1st, this Saturday, is when you have the opportunity to go over 3 to 5. That's perfect timing, because guess what? Fountain Hill opens March the 5th, and they start serving at 5. So once you're done at Grafton Art Gallery, go to Fountain Hill. And
there you go.
All right, hold on, are you ready for this? It's a free grand opening. So go get some free food and then go enjoy.
We may just go get in line and forget this.
No, Don, we can't forget you first. 3 to 5 p.m. You can go see Don on March the 1st. And really, this is a good opportunity to learn about this class and really get to know who you're going to be learning from. And, really quick, how do people sign up? Is there a limit on sizes?
Well, Gene mentioned seat about 12 in that room. I don't rule out having more than one section if we needed it. I'm sure you're okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll just see. We don't know what the interest level will be, and it'll be on Monday nights and Thursday. Well, Monday and Thursday, not necessarily in the evening. We're actually going to poll people that day and see what kind of a time is ideal for
everyone. That's cool.
Maybe earlier would be better.
Reflection.
So, Gene suggested that we just ask people when they come in.
It's a good idea.
So, some of this is it's fluid right now. And I'm looking forward to it. We'll do the classes for a month. You'll have the option of paying for the month of classes up front or on the evening when you come in. If you didn't make every class, that's okay. This is all going to be individualized instruction anyway. We're not all going to be, I'll have some projects that everybody can do the same one, but I'm not going to hold anybody to that. If they have something else that they want to work on, that's fine. I'll help them with that.
Right.
So we'll be very flexible. I think that's the only way this is going to work.
Well, and with that being said, it starts March the 1st, 3 to 5. We'll link everything in an article on RiverBender.com so you guys can get all the details. But really just a great opportunity to come get to know kind of the idea of the class, get to know what you're going to learn. And, yes, we are getting there. I wanted to end on a good note.
We're giving the hat away. How do we make this?
So hold on here. I got this. Yeah, go ahead and hand me this. I was going to end on the good note here because, wait, there's more. Hold on. I don't get up very often. Ooh. Look at this. Hold on. Look at that beautiful hat. That's wonderful, Don. That's wonderful. And that'll be won over there that night, correct?
Yeah, on the 1st.
And how do you win? Just by attending?
Just put your name on a piece of paper when you come in, I guess.
Drawing.
Yeah, drawing.
We'll do that with the gift certificate, too.
That's really cool. And that's going to be a gift certificate, and you'll find out exactly where from soon. With that being said, is there anything else to promote for now, or do we wait until next time?
Just one thing. We have a resident artist program coming up and the residents, we will have a bulletin board in the gallery of when the artist will be there. So if you're interested in something somebody does, they come in and they get a chance to talk to the individual artist. The story that the artist can tell behind what they just did is as interesting sometimes as the work.
That's a good point. And for people that maybe have never gone to a meet and greet for an artist, what can they really expect? Just for somebody that maybe is a little bit nervous about going, what's that kind of look like?
Well, the way I look at it, the way I'm anticipating this, and I haven't really done one of these. I've done a ton of parent-teacher conferences, so it's probably in one way similar to that. Is we want to find out what you're interested in, just answer questions. It's going to be. We'll have some refreshments there. By the way, we didn't mention that. We'll have some things that you can snack on while you're there, no charge. But just find out who I am, what you're interested in. Question might be, okay, I like this. Can I work on that? Okay, if it's related to drawing, yes. Mm-hmm. Sculpture, no, I'm sorry, we're not going to be equipped for that. But if you're working on a painting, I could certainly help and give some tips, but we're not really in the confines of what we're doing here. We can't really bring in paint and have paintings. We're not really equipped for that, not this time anyway. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean I can't coach you on some things. And as I said, I want to learn from people too. Art is never something that's totally static ever. If it gets to be that, it's not art anymore.
Right, 100%. Well, thank you guys so much for stopping by today. It was a pleasure. I told you 20 minutes, and we almost made it 30. We got there. Hey, we'll take a quick break. Daily Show, and we'll link everything in a write-up on RiverBender.com. Okay. Daily Show on this Monday morning continues right after this.
Have a rash, pink eye, or urinary tract infection and need care now? OSF On-Call Urgent Care is here to treat you. Start a virtual visit 24/7. Whenever and wherever you need it. It's just that easy. osfoncall.org/virtual visit.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, Free is alive and well at Liberty Bank, the local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
I set the thermostat so my house would be warm when I got home from work, but the kitchen is still cool.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we stand behind every Linux system we sell.
My dealer said he'd take care of everything.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we understand everyone wants prompt, professional service.
Turns out it wasn't my furnace after all, just a little something blocking the vent.
Pretty smart dog if you ask me. For service you can count on, call Barrett Heating and Cooling.
Lennox, innovation never felt so good. Brant Walker knows how to get results for Alton because he's done it. As Mayor Brant froze the property tax levy and balanced the budget, his economic development policy stimulated $116 million in private capital investment. Community policing and increased resources for public safety led to a decrease in crime. And under Brant Walker's leadership, Alton secured more than $10 million in extra grant funds for infrastructure and park improvements. Move Alton forward with Brant Walker.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible, covering auto, home, business, and life insurance. Our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Can't you see me standing in the shadows of love? I'm getting ready for the heartaches to come. I wanna run, but there's nowhere to go.
Welcome back, 9:41. So I may or may not have messed up my schedule a little bit. My internal clock off. But Ameren's never off. They're always working hard and making sure that we're safe and our houses are powered. Brad, how are we doing today?
Doing great today. How are you?
Oh, hanging in there. Brad Kloeppel is the Senior Director of Gas Operations and Technical Services for Ameren Illinois, and great to have you in studio today. Really at no perfect timing, better than now.
Yeah, great. Thanks for having us.
Well, and, right away, too, gas safety is always one that I think people, take for granted until the colder months start to come in, and then we turn those furnaces on maybe for the first time, and, everyone's always trying to, is that the smell? Is that the smell? And it's really great to have you here to really discuss these things.
Yeah, we're coming out of a really cold period last week where we saw large demand on our system, and as you mentioned, we work all year long to prepare for this part of winter on the gas side of the business. And as you also said, we're every day, 365, every hour of the day. People want electricity and reliable natural gas every second of the day.
Well, and on top of that, too, I feel like sometimes, and this isn't a slight at homeowners, whenever, especially renters, maybe something happens in their apartment or their home they're renting. And, do we have gas? Do we have electric? What is the difference between, electric or natural gas?
Yeah, thanks for the question. Everybody knows about electric service. It powers, everything that we have, our appliances, our electronic devices. Very important. It's also very visible, to our customers. You're driving down the highway, the interstates, you can see the transmission lines, the wires. Mm-hmm. So people are very familiar with the electric side of the business. And the electric has its biggest loads during the summertime when it's used for air conditioning and cooling. Now, natural gas on the other side, you don't see it when you're driving down the road. It's underground the whole time, even at the production levels where it's produced at, mostly, Gulf of Mexico area, Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, traditionally. You pull it out of the ground, they process it, they put it right back in the ground, and then they transport it to the population areas. So on the natural gas side, we're used mostly for space heating. That's our big time of the year. Some commercial industrial customers use it throughout the year, nonstop at a steady state. But by and large, when you think of natural gas, you're thinking, oh my gosh, it's cold out.
Right.
My furnace has got to kick on, and that gas has to be there to warm our house up.
Well, and we hear about power outages and electric outages. Are gas outages a thing? Do those happen?
We don't have a name for it.
Okay,
which is a good thing. We would call it a gas outage, though, just if we do have one, but we don't. So the way that this gas system works, we can't just take a momentary outage to fix something. Yeah. You have to have constant pressure at the house. You have to be 100% gas in the pipeline. So if you have an outage, what happens is there's a chance for air to get in within our gas system. and we have to purge that air out of the system before we set up. Because, as you know, to get that nice crisp blue flame that everybody knows we need, it has to have the perfect mixture of air and natural gas. So if we do have to have something like, say, for instance, if a third-party contractor hits our gas main, unfortunately happens from time to time, we have customers may take an outage. Well, we have to turn all those customers off, go to their house one by one. We fix what's wrong with the gas system. Whoa. Then we have to purge all the air out at each of the customers' residence, and then we relight all their appliances. So it takes, hours and hours to do that. So
I'm sure it's just almost exponential compared to like an electricity outage.
Exponential, yeah.
Wow.
To restore customers from a gas outage.
What I don't want to put you on the spot, but what is the largest area that you guys have had to, maybe in your time, encounter that and get an area, cornered off and maybe, secured? Do you have that on the top of your head? I hate to put you out.
Yeah, the most we've had in the last 4 or 5 years was an outage of about 500 folks. But that took about 24 hours, a little over 24 hours to restore all those customers.
Well, and we were just talking, with Ameren a couple of weeks ago about safety just with Lyman. And what I think is incredible, too, is just the safety precautions. Because I'm sure when it comes to a gas scenario, safety has to be the utmost, number one thought on everyone's mind.
Exactly. It's the number one thought of our mind when we leave the shop every single day. But when we think about customer outages, that's why we have to go in each home, make sure that their appliances are operating correctly, so that when we restore natural gas to them, that we're not leaving an incident that could happen or not leaving an unsafe condition.
Well, and with that being said too, everyone has electric, obviously, that's in this area. How many electric and natural gas customers do you have? Do you have a split on that to where you have mostly electric, or do you have a steady balance of natural gas too?
Yeah, we have about 1.2 million electric customers in the state of Illinois and about 815,000 gas customers. And I think this is the number that I don't have on the top of my head, about 650,000 of those have both.
That's what I was curious about, because what was so fun when I bought my first house just a couple of years ago, I thought I just had electric. I didn't know. I knew how to clean a sewer out a little bit because of my grandpa's business, my uncle, but I didn't know anything about that. But I found out I had gas just because of my power bill.
I'm with you. It's the same thing that the first time I grew up in a farm in central Missouri.
Okay.
And we don't have access to natural gas in that area, even for a lot of the smaller cities.
Wow.
But
I didn't realize.
Yeah, the first time I went to Jefferson City and lived with my brother, I was like, what is this other meter on the other side of the house? I literally didn't know what it was, and it was his natural gas meter.
It's just well, what I think's unique too. It's one of those things where it's kind of a good thing if you don't know what you have. It's not necessarily a good thing, but it's also kind of good because a good service is one that's not on the top of mind for everybody. It's one that you don't go to bed at night going, man, I hope that's okay.
Yeah, and exactly. Like I talked about before, we have to keep pressure on our system. We don't have outages, so a lot of customers will go through a period of time where they may not even know that they have the service.
So, a lot of times too, I've been reading things on social media, you get the spam pages that throw up, things about natural gas or any type of element really, and when it comes to, safety and making sure they can, I call it just kind of rallying the keyboard people, because man, once they put something out about, true and false about maybe gas or some type of natural disaster, you see everyone starting to weigh in. And with this, though, I always heard that the odor was because of what you guys put in to the gas, correct?
That is correct. So natural gas in its natural form, as it comes out of the ground, is colorless, odorless, and non-toxic. You can actually even breathe it, and it's not going to hurt you as long as you don't displace oxygen.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So we put an agent in it called mercaptan, and it makes it smell like a sulfur, kind of a rotten egg type smell. Back in the day, when they first started realizing that they needed to do something to the gas so people knew it was present because it is odorless, they made it smell good, and then people started using it to air out their house or perfume. So we changed that.
That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't even surprise me anymore. After the kids ate Tide Pods, nothing surprising. But with that being, when did that start happening with just the odors and putting those fragrances and chemicals? When did that start?
That was very early on, probably in the early 1910s, 1920s, when gas distribution first started.
That's interesting.
Was a thing. And then, but now we put the mercaptan in it. Again, it's our first line of defense, basically, that our customers smell gas. So we have a saying, we say, smell gas, leave fast. So if you smell gas in your home, you're not supposed to. Another myth people have, they think that, well, if I have natural gas appliances, I may always smell a little bit of natural gas, right?
Right.
Well, that's not true. You shouldn't smell natural gas in your house.
And that can be, like with the plant, just to, not to cut you off, but like with stoves and all, and I know in range tops, that's kind of a big thing because sometimes you do, I've been over at someone's house and I hear that, I'm like, I don't know if I want to be in here for a little bit longer, and please don't light a cigarette in this house. But how can people really make sure that their appliances are, connected properly? There's not, leaks in it. Does Ameren have a way that we can call them, or is there a third party that you guys utilize that where we can say, hey, go out there and make sure that, Mr. Smith has everything hooked up correctly?
No, really appreciate the question because this is something that we just continue to try to get this out there. Again, we say smell gas, leave fast, get out of their structure. If you really smell gas, if it's a strong odor, get out of their structure. And then call the 1-800 number, which is 1-800-755-5000. And within one of the first one or two options you have, it's to report an odor complaint. Mm-hmm. And then they will contact, or they'll put you in contact with a customer service rep, and they'll give you information. And we will have somebody out there within 60 minutes. Our average response time is 22 minutes.
Wow.
And at 24/7, 365 days a year at no charge to our customers.
See, and that's really important for people to know too. And I think that it does, I'm sure, come across a customer's mind for Ameren because they go, what happens if it's, an astronomical amount just for the service fee? And it's good to clarify that too.
Yeah.
Well, and also
now, and can I jump on that?
Yeah,
because
do.
I don't want to mislead our customers.
Oh yeah,
either.
no, never.
We will evaluate the situation and make it safe. If you have an appliance that is leaking, then what they'll do, they'll isolate that appliance, and then you'll have to have an HVAC certified professional come and make sure that appliance is working properly.
Right. And on top of, what about gas pipes and gas lines? Because is there something like where if it's coming into the house and maybe it's old, does Ameren cover that, or is that a homeowner's thing?
No, we own the gas pipe up to the person's house, so it's anything on the outlet of the meters where the customer's responsibility starts.
Really interesting. See, I'm glad I asked that.
So it's all they're indoor piping.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really unique. And when we come back, I'd like to ask you where, Ameren gets its natural gas from, because this is really fascinating, but I want to keep them teased along for the ride. So we'll take a quick break at 9:51. You stay there. We'll stay here on RiverBender.com, Roku TV on this Monday morning.
Get access to care for anyone, anywhere, at any time. No appointments, no waiting rooms, no traveling. OSF on call.
Village Dispensary has the best deals in Godfrey, Illinois, with specials 5 days a week. Mondays, roll in the week with 20 to 30% off select pre-rolls. Tasty Tuesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select edibles. Waxy Wednesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select concentrate and vape brands. Thirsty Thursdays, sip and save with 20 to 30% off all drinks. Flower Friday, grab select 3.5 gram flower deals starting at just $20. Village Dispensary, come meet your best buds.
Picture This and More has been a trusted name in the Alton community for more than 30 years, with the last 3 being right here on Broadway. We specialize in quality framing at affordable prices. We also feature works by local artists because we're proud of our community. If you have valued treasures to display and preserve, we're sure to have the perfect fit with our large selection of custom framing and display options. Whatever color, shape, or size, Picture This and More has the look you need. Stop by today and let us help you with your next project.
Looking for the best barbecue in Madison County? Head over to Carver's Barbecue in Godfrey, Illinois. From loaded barbecue nachos to mouth-watering pulled pork, brisket, ribs, and more, Carver's serves up award-winning flavors you'll love. Family-owned, Carver's is all about fresh, made in-house dishes served daily. Come visit us at 2716 Groveland in Godfrey, or give us a call at 618-467-9999. Order online, get it catered, or stop by for the best smoked meats around. Where great flavors meet family tradition, you'll find Carver's Barbecue.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
$9:55. Welcome back as we're closing in on 10 o'clock. Half of the show is done almost, Brad. We're getting there.
Time flies.
It does, especially when you're learning like that. I mean, this is really cool because I did not know, where Ameren gets their, gas from, where you guys get your gas from. Take me through this process. This is so unique.
Yeah, so we are a gas distribution company, which means that we don't produce the gas. We don't bring it up out of the ground, and we're just buying it from other producers. And historically, most of those producers were along the Gulf Coast area, or offshore Gulf. And then there was a vast, network of interstate pipeline companies that brought the gas from Louisiana, from Texas, up to the population centers, which, we're right in between there in Chicago. And then also we're in between those areas and the Northeast cities. Yeah. So we're very fortunate. I think you jumped on earlier when I said something about Missouri not having much access to natural gas. Well, in Illinois, we have, numerous pipelines intersecting the state. And I know we're connected to 10 interstate pipelines that are moving gas through the state. And there's more pipelines that we're not connected to. Wow. In Missouri, where we grew up, they just don't have access to natural gas in that area because there's no pipelines crisscrossing the state. Then the more you move west, where there traditionally was, lower populations, there's even fewer. Mm-hmm. So we're kind of fortunate in Illinois that we have this opportunity to have natural gas through all the communities that we do. But
sorry, no, you keep going. Don't let me ever cut you off. The floor is yours, Senator, always.
But then things changed in 2010. Yeah. They realized for years and years, they knew that there were these reserves of gas that were stuck in these shale deposits. And the problem was that shale is a very dense rock, and they couldn't extract the gas out of it economically. Mm-hmm. Well, and somewhere around 2007, they started experimenting with horizontally drilling through those shale seams and then fracturing that rock, which then releases the gas and allows it to flow in to the production well.
Wow.
That changed the game.
How does gas, what's the state it's in whenever it's farmed out of that, that shale?
You got two different types of production. You got dry gas production where it's coming out just basically the way it's delivered to your home, other than some minimal processing. But then a lot of it's called associated gas. Mm-hmm. So you're drilling for oil, and as you're bringing the oil up, they're processing it, modifying it, and they're separating it, and they separate the natural gas from the oil.
That's really fascinating. I've always wondered that. Yep. Sorry, that was a CJ question. Now back to the show. But when it comes to storage, and we were talking about pipelines, and what's so unique really is the fact that to think about underneath of us are all these different pathways to to get power and to get heat into all these homes. But what is really this underground natural gas storage field? What's it look like? I mean, is it a big base that has fences around it? Then underneath of it, there's storage, or what do those look like?
Yeah, well, they're not buried underground tanks.
Okay, that's interesting. There we go.
Yeah, and they're not buried they're not caverns underground. So it's actually quite unique. In Illinois, we're very fortunate that we have geology that supports natural gas storage underground. Again, that's unique. Not all states have that. Even our neighbor, where again Missouri does not have that. They have limestone rock that doesn't support that storage of natural gas underground. So this sandstone, what we're able to find is it's a porous rock. Like if we had a sample of it sitting right here today, you'd look at it and be like, Brad, that's a rock. Right. You're not telling me anything different. But if you look at it in a microscope, you can actually see there's pores within those sand structures. And what we're able to do is when they find areas where you have the sandstone that's overlaid with an impermeable rock, actually a lot of times it's shale gas, as I mentioned before, in almost like a dome type structure, we can slowly inject that natural gas into that sandstone and it fills up those pore spaces and stays trapped underground until we reverse the process.
Whoa, that is just incredible. Well, and I want to circle back to something I think so important too, because you talk about the availability in Illinois and then lack thereof in other states, especially as we get more west. Yeah. What does that do in terms of Ameren Illinois? Not just in terms of Ameren, but also the state in terms of economic growth, because to me it seems like we have an advantage over, and that keeps going back to me because it's great to hear about this storage field, but really to hear about that advantage and what it does to our region, just to hear your insights on that.
Yeah, it certainly does add to that. I mean, energy infrastructure is one of the major engines in economic growth and development, and it really drives the Illinois economy. The Illinois economy is I think the 6th largest in the country, and a lot of that is the access that we have to natural gas, the population centers around Chicago, of course, that support that manufacturing industrial growth.
I have a lot of good text questions. See, I didn't want to take credit for that one. I shouldn't have done that. That was a great question from the audience. But, getting back into this too, so there's 2 different types of reservoirs, correct? Or a couple of different types?
There are. Yes. So in the northern part of the state, we have what we call aquifer storage. So I mentioned that sandstone before. Yep. So in that structure, it's maybe not as much of a dome structure, but this will really blow your mind, CJ. So we inject gas into that sandstone, and the sandstone is actually enveloped in it's a high water table area. So it's got basically water all within that sandstone. As we inject the gas into it, it creates a bubble, like an air bubble, and it slowly pushes that air bubble out with natural gas being in between it.
Oh my God.
So then we expand it out and it becomes almost like a rubber band, right? We're stretching it out. And then whenever we reverse the process, then that water pushes the natural gas out of the ground back up into our distribution system.
That is incredible. Well, how long does that process take?
So that has to take over a season. So that storage is different. We slowly inject that gas because we have to control that air bubble.
Makes sense.
And then detract it. Now, those are 5 fields in the north. In the south, we're in the Illinois production basin. We have 7 depleted oil fields that we inject gas into, and those are different. So those are sandstone structures that have a defined cap and dome structure within them. So those we can actually inject and withdraw gas, every other day if we want. So we're not trying to push that bubble. It's just open pore space in that sandstone.
Wow. Well, and how many storage fields does Ameren have and operate?
We have 12 altogether, and we have them as far north of Peoria and as south as Marion, Illinois.
Wow. How many? And I hate to ask, but you know how big roughly that is? Because that whenever I hear 12, I'm sure 12 is some very vast real estate too.
So we can store 40% of our winter supply underground in our storage fields. And that's enough to fuel 350,000 homes for a year.
Wow. That's just incredible. And with that being said, too, how does storage operate? So just I'm just really fascinated by this.
The value it brings to our customers is there's really 3 major benefits. So as we talked about before with the production of natural gas, it's steady state. The
Yeah.
gas is coming out of the ground, 365 days a year. Well, in the summertime, there's not that much demand for it. So prices get lower.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is we buy the first big benefit is the seasonal arbitrage. So we're buying gas in the summer when prices are low, storing it in our storage fields, and we'll bring it out in the wintertime whenever prices are generally higher. That's the first benefit. Second benefit is on really cold days like we had last Wednesday, prices on the spot market may go up 3-4 times the normal
I'm sure,
price.
yeah.
Sometimes they go up exponentially, like we saw during Winter Storm Uri several years ago. But gas is generally priced about $3 a unit. It's not unusual at all during a cold snap for it to pop up to $10.
Mm-hmm.
So we can, on those days, we can bring about 50% of our peak supply can come out of storage, which means we don't have to buy that high-priced gas on the spot market. We avoid those purchases. And then the last one, third one.
Oh, sorry.
1, 2, 3. The third benefit is just the fact that we bring that gas. So we have 40% of our gas in Illinois near our customers when winter starts.
Right.
It's on our transmission system that we can get it to the customer reliably and provides a lot of reliability and resiliency. Because as I mentioned before, we can't have a momentary outage.
No.
We can't have a period of time where we say, oh, sorry, folks, we don't have enough natural gas today. So, this 10,000 people, you're not going to have natural gas for the next 24 hours. And plus, we can't do that because it would take us a long time to restore those customers. So it's of the utmost importance that we have gas, that positive pressure to our customers every single day on the coldest hour of the coldest day.
Well, and this is what I find so fascinating too, because just hearing all of this, it just goes above and beyond for the customer. Because if we don't have the storage and, like you said, all of that on hand, I can only imagine what, especially during what we had the -2 degree day, what those power bills could look like, and what those heating bills look like, and to know what Ameren does to kind of not only help the supply chain and all of that, but also protect the consumers from the price gouging that would occur during some of those significant events.
Certainly, and unfortunately, there's folks in Illinois that are on small municipal systems, and they just don't have the opportunity to store gas,
right?
And a lot of time they don't have the opportunity to manage their financial hedges. So, in addition to the storage gas, we also have a group that manages. So, where they're buying gas 3 years in advance always. So we layer in purchases throughout the time over a 3-year period. Those hedging strategies plus our storage really keep our prices stable. And again, the goal is to have stable pricing. By doing all that, sometimes, when the market really dips and goes low, we don't get to take advantage of those dips. But what we can guarantee is that our customers aren't going to pay the high.
And see, I think if you had polled the audience, at least 60% would agree with you on that, me being one of them. And another point to make, or just something to ask you, not really a point, is, when I lived in Austin, Texas for a few months and I was doing pro wrestling, it was right after the deep freeze and everyone's pipes froze and bursted, and it was a terrible mess.
Yeah.
I actually helped run the books and do stuff in the office for construction companies and did a lot of insurance claims and all of that, so kind of got some firsthand just knowledge on the damage that was sustained by it. What does having this on hand do to maybe eliminate a lot of those scenarios? Because I feel like a lot of that's timing. If you're without heat and power, that's where the time becomes really a major factor. And I'm an amateur and don't know this, but it's just a thought I have.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back to the pro wrestling at some point, but yeah, Texas, that was a terrible time, and that was really just a lack of weatherization on many fronts. It was a lack of weatherization. And weatherization, is basically you're in South Texas. No one expected to get that cold there. We produce gas. They make electricity.
Right.
Windmills run in Canada and Minnesota, so they can be made that way. They just didn't do that in Texas. So what happened was some of the production areas on the gas side, the production areas, the wells that came out of the ground, they didn't have those like heat traced or anything to where they could keep those from, because when you bring it up, you bring water up with it. Mm-hmm. And before you get a chance to process that water, what happened is those wells freeze off.
Gotcha.
So then they're shut down until it thaws back out. And so that happened in Texas. We had actually the same thing happen with some of the power plants. Their water intake structures weren't weatherized. So the water intake structures froze up, and then they couldn't produce power either. So
And it's just really fascinating to kind of hear that, because I've always, just for folks to gain a little bit more insights on, maybe why our systems are designed the way they are and why, our state's infrastructure is designed the way it is.
Yeah, and probably to get back to, I think your actual question was how are we insulated from that? Well, bringing that 40% of our supply and having control of that reduces our reliability, reduces our dependence on that upstream interstate pipeline. So while we still had problems, with our supplies and stuff, we at least had some flexibility, and we could bring those storage fields on and try to make up for some of that.
And it's really important to kind of note that too, just to get our audience and your customers a little bit more insights. Because if I don't know, I'd assume a couple of other people don't know either. With that being said, Brett, really great talking to you. And before we leave, it's really good to talk safety tips, because I know that we're getting ready to turn our furnaces off for the year and all of that. But is there anything that we should do as we're getting ready to, in the next month and a half, switch over to air, getting that air on? What should we do before we turn it off? Any safety tips or any preventative maintenance that our customers can do?
No, there's actually not really for your natural gas furnace, but it's always a good idea at least once a year to have an HVAC professional come and look at all your equipment. So maybe whether you're doing it this time of year, to have them look at your air conditioner, but also have them go ahead and look at your natural gas furnace, make sure it's operating properly. They'll clean it. If there's anything, they can clean up the dust and stuff like that from the burner tubes. There's, just keep routine maintenance on those. And
what do we do if we smell, gas? I know it's smell gas, leave fast, but what numbers do we call? Is it 911 at some point too, or no?
It can be 911 if you think you're in a severe situation.
Okay, gotcha.
There's the gas, that agent goes a long way. So if you get a hint of that smell, you're probably in a good situation where you can just leave the structure, call Ameren. It would only be an emergency situation if you feel like the house is full of gas, or there's other, ignition source or anything else that may lead you to think that there's going to be an emergency.
And then you call 800-755-5000 if you smell gas. I have one final question. This is a true CJ question. What if you have a little bit of gas in your home? Let's say, there's a connection on a stove that, or a range that isn't, working, and all of a sudden it's leaking, you got a gas leak. Are you immediately going to burst in flames? I hate to say that. I didn't know other way to put that, because I think my misconception is the moment, there's any gas, we're going to go boom immediately. Is that the case?
No, it's one of the safety features of natural gas, in addition to one main characteristic of natural gas versus other, is it's lighter than air. So if you have a leak within your house, natural gas is going to rise and it's going to try to find its way out.
Gotcha.
Propane, unfortunately, it's heavier. It's a heavier hydrocarbon. It has a higher heating value than natural gas. But the problem with that is it goes down.
Gotcha.
So if you have a propane household, and for all the listeners, if you have propane and your appliances are in your basement, that's where your leak's going to be. That's where it's going to stay. So natural gas will try to find its way out. But typically, again, I said that the agent in there is very distinct.
Yeah.
It's very concentrated. Like if you smell just a little bit, like, I think I smelled natural gas there. Yeah, it's nowhere near a hazardous leak at that point.
Absolutely. I'm glad I asked that question. See, that's not too bad a
But
one.
you should still call.
Still call.
Call and have us come out and check it out.
800-755-5000. And Brad, seriously, thanks so much for stopping by. Gained a lot of knowledge today, and I hope the audience did too, but I definitely learned something.
That's our goal. Public awareness. We have folks that go out that try to spread this message throughout, because we want our people to use our product every day, but there's a way to do it safely.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks, CJ.
We'll take a quick break. 10:12's the time on this Monday morning. 45 degrees for the first time in a month. We'll come back with more Daily Show right after this on Riverbender.
Have a rash, pink eye, or urinary tract infection and need care now? OSF On Call Urgent Care is here to treat you. Start a virtual visit 24/7, whenever and wherever you need it. It's just that easy. OSFOnCall.org/virtual visit.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, free is alive and well at Liberty Bank, the local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
I set the thermostat so my house would be warm when I got home from work, but the kitchen is still cool.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we stand behind every Linux system we sell.
My dealer said he'd take care of everything.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we understand everyone wants prompt, professional service.
Turns out it wasn't my furnace after all, just a little something blocking the vent.
Pretty smart dog if you ask me. For service you can count on, call Barrett Heating and Cooling.
Lennox. Innovation never felt so good. Brant Walker knows how to get results for Alton because he's done it. As Mayor Brant froze the property tax levy and balanced the budget, his economic development policy stimulated $116 million in private capital investment. Community policing and increased resources for public safety led to a decrease in crime. And under Brant Walker's leadership, Alton secured more than $10 million in extra grant funds for infrastructure and park improvements. Move Alton forward with Brant Walker.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible, covering auto, home, business, and life insurance. Our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
I'll be over the edge now in no time at all. I'm falling faster and faster and faster with no time to stall. The closer you get, the further I fall.
Welcome back, 1016. Grid Solar in the studio. Ryan, how are you doing?
Doing great. How are you, CJ?
Welcome back to hell. Cold. It's what I meant. I didn't mean like the area. I meant the weather. You were in Palm Springs.
I mean, but 45 feels like 75 out there at this point. So.
Yeah, but that's depressing me too. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you. I've been kind of a whiny jerk all day because of this. You know, it's like I used to be a winter guy. Now I'm not anymore, you know.
I don't get the winter people.
Yeah, God love you. Someone's got to. You know?
Yeah, move to Seattle.
No, yeah, good luck with that. With that being said, Grid Solar, how are you doing?
We're doing good.
Back in the saddle after a vacation, much needed.
That's right. Yeah.
And ready to power more people's homes.
That's correct. And now we're open to general electrical contracting services. So
really,
we basically have a couple master electricians on staff. So
what's that mean for your clients?
It just opens up the number of services that we can do for everybody. So like, you know, when we do a regular appointment for solar, we don't just look at how your house is for solar.
Right.
We look at other ways we can help you. We always tell people we're trying to sell you as few panels as possible, not as many as we can get by, right? Get away with, right? So if we could spend $1,000 putting more insulation in your attic, and that saves you $3,000 by not needing that many panels, then that's a wise use of your money, and you should do that.
Is that a lot of the problem for some of these folks, too, is just poor insulation and things like that?
I mean, it can be.
Yeah.
Like, I've looked at literally thousands and thousands of power bills.
Right.
In the time I've done this, right? So I'm pretty good at saying, okay, 1,500 square foot house, it should be using about this much electricity. And then, if I see a power bill, I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, is there a data mining farm in the basement or something? Like,
Bitcoin.
Are you guys mining crypto downstairs? Like, where is all this electricity usage coming from? And usually during that consultation, we kind of pinpoint what it is, right? Yeah. The other thing is we do HVAC. So, like, if you've got an outbuilding and you want to do, like, we're really focusing on mini splits because it's a whole lot more efficient to
a lot of people are doing the mini split now.
Right. When you look at, like, I can spend $6,000 or $7,000 on a single whole home unit that's going to do exactly what the last one did, maybe slightly more efficiently. Or you can, have 3 different locations, where they call them heads, basically, right? So you have 3 different locations, but you still only have the one outdoor unit. Now it's going to heat and cool your house much more efficiently.
You know, they have those when I was in Austin. That's what my house was. It was just a mini. It was great too because I mean, there's so many times you're sitting in that one room and you know damn well it ain't no 72 degrees in there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Absolutely.
You know it's not, but everywhere else is.
And look where they put every thermostat. If you have one thermostat in your house,
Oh, you're done.
I can tell you exactly where it's at. In the most center part of the house that they could possibly get
You
it.
just hit it.
Right. And so it's like, okay, so for it to be, 65 on my couch, I need to set this to 68 or whatever
Right.
it is. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and then it's weird too because you get into spots where, and we all have that temperature gate or that threshold where it seems like in that one home, once you hit 73 or 4 or 5, whatever your number is, it won't stop running, even though it says we're at 73. Well, that one part of the house it might not be, and it's dropping you down.
If you have that situation, right, when you get to 96 degrees outside and it won't stop running, you need to have a consultation.
That's what I think too.
Yeah, because it's not keeping up, and that it could be because it just needs to be charged. It could be because it's just incredibly inefficient.
Well, and that's my point, because it's like, why not have this split? Because you're going to save years on that unit. I mean, from what I'm understanding, from what I've read too.
Oh yeah, like we had a customer who he had like a 2.5 ton unit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, your house is double the square footage of mine, and I have a 2.5 ton unit.
That's got to be brutal for him.
It was absolutely brutal. And so, like, very rarely do I ever say, like, hey, spend money on HVAC before you spend money on solar. Right? Very rarely. But for that customer, that was the right thing to do. It's like, I don't know how much solar you really need, because half of your panels are going to go just to your HVAC, and they shouldn't need to.
Right. And I think, too, it's so important to have these conversations, because for a long time, technology, when it came to home tech, it was almost like voodoo, or like you read it in like Tech Gizmo or whatever the magazine was, and it was a fable. But now you're seeing this firsthand experience with video and everything else, that this stuff is working. It's better than the traditional way of doing things. It's there.
There's always like this idea that the systems of your house are very separate people. Plumbing and HVAC and electrical, they're completely different. And it's like, but that's the thing, is like, that's where the new technology is going, is it's bringing it all together and saying, what is the most efficient way to do all of this
I'm
stuff?
a big fan of the mini split. And that the big thing is having somebody that does it right, because that's where the problem comes in. It's not the appliance, it's not the equipment, it's the fact that you had, Uncle Johnny, who maybe did, was an electrician 40 years ago, but didn't do it the right way.
Yeah, absolutely.
How intricate are those mini split systems? Do they get pretty tricky to put in, or?
Well, that's the nice thing, is they're designed for being retrofitted, right? So they're designed to be in a house that you can't get behind the walls and things like that, right? So they're designed for that. Like, if you think of Europe, right? Europe, they have so many 200-year-old houses. Right. So many more than we do. Then obviously HVAC didn't exist back then, right? It was a stove, right? So that's all Europe uses.
You're right, because whenever I was there, you see them all over the apartment. I mean, that's literally it.
And so it's so much easier, because basically all you have to do is drill one hole through a wall to get to the outside, and now you can install that mini split on the other side of that hole.
And, I'm sure is a common thought, and I don't want to say misconception, is, man, my power bill is going to go up because I'm adding these 3 or 2.
Sure. I mean, I can see that being a common misconception.
Right, because you're adding something.
Right, and you might even be adding like, hey, here's how much my house could have used before, and now it can use more. Right? That is possible, but again, it all comes down to efficiency, right? Like, if you have to heat your house or cool the middle of your house down to 68 so that sitting by your couch it can be a nice 72, then that's not very efficient. Right. So and that's the same thing with, like, if you're going to pay to heat and cool the air, you don't want it to just escape outside as fast as possible. That's where the insulation comes in, right? And then, of course, we're solar guys, so we always think, if you're going to spend as much money as we spend on electricity every month, maybe you should own the source. Right. Buy the source of electricity and and then you can actually own the production.
Well, and this is where it goes really hand in hand, because once you have your own source of electricity, plus you have mini splits and you have things that make it more efficient and better insulation in some homes, or what have you, then all of a sudden you're really in control of this. I mean, it's truly your world, and the power company's not even living in it.
Correct. And CJ, so I'm going to quiz you here. What would you think is the typical, let's say, 20-year age group of our customers for solar?
45.
45 to like 55 or 65 or something?
I would give 45 to 65. I think that's fair.
Yeah, and I'd say I would have said 50 to 70. So you're very close. But in general, that surprised me when I first got in the industry, right?
Yeah, me too, actually.
Yeah, and so like it really surprised me because you'd think that the younger folks would be thinking more long term and greener, et cetera, et cetera.
And older folks are saying, I'm good with where I'm at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But the reality of it is that those 50 to 70-year-olds, they have maybe some disposable income, right? Kids have moved out, so they paid for college. That part's done, right? But they're still making money. And then not only that, but they're thinking about retirement.
Yeah.
Right? And so obviously with the climate the way it is and inflation and like we don't know what our costs are going to be, right?
That's a great point.
Like my financial advisor said, let's just throw a number out there. $2 million was enough for me to retire on comfortably. But with inflation going rampant, it's like, well, is it now? Does it need to be $2.4 million? And I don't really have a way to make money. So basically what we're finding is that people are trying to find ways to control their costs.
Yeah.
Right? What costs can I control so then I can predict what that's going to cost? And solar is a fantastic way to do that. You might not be able to own 100% of your power bill, but why rent 100% of it just because you can't own 100%?
Well, it's such a good point because you're investing towards retirement. I mean, everyone should be at least, and your power bill really is kind of one of them because if you can control, especially if hey, this is it. I'm not going nowhere. This is my homestead for the next, until they carry me out of here. I'm going to be here. Why not invest in your power bill and your electricity? And then all of a sudden you realize I'm investing in my retirement too.
Absolutely. There's the 3 reasons to go solar, and they're the same 3 reasons people buy houses, right? When I buy a house, I know what my mortgage is going to be for the next 30 years. Mm-hmm. I get the equity from it now, right? And then there's an end date. It might be 30 years in the future, but at least there's an end date.
Yeah.
When you rent a house, none of those things are true. And people are doing the exact same thing with their power. When you rent your power, you don't know what it's going to cost tomorrow. When you move out, they don't give you anything. And there will never be a time when that bill is 0.
Yeah.
Okay, when you own solar, you get all of those same benefits. Equity added to your house the second you put it on there. You know exactly what, like if you get a loan for the solar, 10 years from now, you know exactly what that bill is going to be until someday it's 0. And I always call that the promised land for solar, is when you have a solar system that's completely paid off and yet it's still producing high value electricity. If you have a power bill that's $200 today, a optimistic guess would be that it's going to be $400 10 years from now.
True.
Right? That's optimistic.
Right.
It could be more than that.
It probably will be.
That's a very modest
4%
increase.
Yeah.
Ameren, Missouri has a 15% rate increase on the books for this year. Now, I don't know if the Public Service Commission will approve that,
but it's still there.
But it's they're not going to approve 0. They're not going to say no, it's 0. They're going to give them some of that 15%, and probably closer to 7, 8, 9, 10%. So what would your power bill be if you get 10% increases every year?
Well, and the thing is, too, that people need to, I think, realize, and you're seeing it now, every industry is starting to shape towards this, new home technology. Every industry, whether it's cars or any type of appliance or any type of even business, technology, it's all kind of combining into this where you're going to have a hub. I mean, that's what your home is going to turn into, is this technological hub. So you might as well get on it early because we're seeing this with the Mustang now with the way it can charge your home. I mean, that's incredible.
Well, and, I hate to talk politics, right? But power companies don't look at their electrical, like the landscape of their costs in 4-year terms.
No, God, no.
That's
the least of their concern.
Right. They look at it a 20-year outlook and a 40-year outlook.
Yeah.
So no one administration is going to change in any way, shape, or form what power companies are planning to do.
Yeah, no.
Right?
No.
And if you watch them, power companies all around are going solar, renewable, right? And they brag about it constantly. They brag about, look what we did. We spent money on infrastructure, and we spent money on solar and this and that. And honestly, it's on your bill. The fuel, the renewable energy fuel adjustment charge, it's on your bill. They are charging you for their increased cost by going solar.
So they're already charging you for solar already. You don't just we just don't realize it.
That's why one of my favorite things to say is you're going to go solar whether you like it or not. The question is, who are you going to pay the bill to?
You're 100% right. And now, what are you guys doing right now? How's work going for you guys?
I mean, obviously we've slowed down a little bit, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk about the politics thing is because we're getting a lot of grassroots people telling us they're afraid for the tax credits, right? Like there's a lot of violent changes occurring in politics right now, and so people are afraid. Like, is this tax credit on the chopping block, right?
But it's already there, correct? So you can't lose it.
Absolutely, it's already part of the Inflation Reduction Act. It's wildly popular. It will take an act of Congress to actually overturn that, right? And again, like if the guy who's cutting all the money owns a solar company and an EV company, my guess is the tax credit's probably safe.
Right. So that's why I roll, because it's not. I'm not like annoyed with it. I roll my eyes because it's people get so caught up in the headline, and it's like it would take so much to get rid of that thing. I mean, it would be an arm and an elbow, and maybe even a kidney, especially to convince Elon Musk to get rid of a solar credit.
Right. Well, I mean, if we've saved $55 billion so far, there's been $55 billion spent on writing about it.
I'm ready for my check.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And spend it on solar.
That's right. That's right. We're all
bringing it back
That's
around.
your ad campaign.
That
is your ad campaign. The bill balance on solar covered because of your Doge savings.
And that's one of the reasons that we love solar too. Is like, how many times has the federal government ever spent federal tax dollars on your property? This is your chance to get them to do that.
That's actually true. Yeah, it's true.
This is your chance to get the federal government to spend tax dollars on your property.
Well, and that's why I'm glad that you came on to talk about it, because I'm sure that people are, going, man, I was thinking solar, but if, this is going, and perception's reality for so many people.
Yep.
So it's good to get that out there. But
So you got that. Is the tax credit going to be there? And then, of course, you got the doom and gloom of Ameren net metering, one-to-one net metering being gone. And so, there's not as many people knocking down our door, but that's what I'm saying is you still have the solar renewable energy credit here in Illinois, which is pretty much paying for the battery for you. That's another thing we're seeing is that all of these national companies are just fleeing Illinois.
They are, yeah. I've noticed that even people that I've kind of just seen around, it's goodbye. Like, I've gone without a trace.
And the ones who are sticking around and selling batteries, the amount that they're charging for batteries is ludicrous.
I couldn't imagine, because you're trying to make up for the cost of the net metering because you were taking, I'm sure, massive amounts.
And batteries are expensive.
Yeah.
But I don't have to put a 50% margin, markup on it. And that's what most of these companies are doing, right? Because of how much complication it adds, right? But at the same time, it doesn't add that much as they're charging for it.
No, and one of the things is, too, I'm sure for a lot of it, because I've tried to look up just different solar products, and it says a lot of times on websites, call for consult, so you never see that battery price. That's kind of where you guys come in. So we don't really know. It's just, okay.
And that's actually where we're getting a lot of our,
I'm sure.
our consultations is from battery companies. Because obviously they don't actually sell their product, right? So they need a consultation from a dealer. We're a dealer, and so they send us their name and information, and we end up communicating with the person and saying hey, you are a good candidate, or believe it or not, we'll tell people that you're not a good candidate. We do tell people that.
Well, and that's a good thing too. It's that conversation, because that's, I think a lot of times when maybe people had to hang up to this, it's, are they selling me? And it's not. I mean, it's not a sell. This is something that you have to want to do. It's not you're going to buy a car and you want a Camry, and then all of a sudden they talk you into a Challenger,
Right, yeah.
You're doing this because you want to do it,
right.
Or there's a major interest to do this. So it's a partnership. It's not a sale.
No, absolutely not. We are consultative, we're educational. That's what we're there to do. And again, if you're not 100% sure, then you're probably not signing. So I just want you to look at the numbers, fully understand everything, and then I can't decide. I can think it's a good idea for me and my family, but I'm not going to decide for you.
Well, and too, I mean, I'm glad we talked about mini splits today too, because even if you don't decide to go solar, there's still many ways to be more efficient with your electricity and your bills.
Well, and that's one of the reasons I brought that up. The same with the electrical consultations too. Like, you know, if you need an electrical consultation and we're curious about solar, have us over for the electrical consultation, and we'll talk to you about solar. Either you're more interested or not after that conversation, right? We're just trying to bring more people in the door, essentially. Like, be able to help them in more ways.
100%. Ryan, always good talking, man. 20 minutes just flew right on by. We kicked ass today. I'm going to say that. We did a good job.
Always a pleasure.
Well, it's not Palm Springs, but it'll do.
For now.
At 1034 GridSolarLLC.com. We'll take a quick break. More Daily Show on this Monday next.
Oh no, another bad headache? Yeah. Maybe it's time to see your doctor.
OSF Healthcare can handle all of your family's primary care needs, including diagnosing health issues or referring you to a specialist. Schedule an appointment today.
No matter the season, Play It Again Sports in Edwardsville has the gear the athletes need to get in the game. Whether you're shopping for the newest sports equipment or saving money on quality used gear, Play It Again Sports carries what you need to maximize performance to get the most out of every swing, kick, stroke, or shot. We'll even buy your used goods, paying cash on the spot. We carry all the gear for all the sports all year long. We're your hometown sporting goods store. Play It Again Sports, conveniently located at 4 Club Center Court in Edwardsville.
Yo, what up? It's Mike Keith, the proud graduate of Lewis and Clark Community College. I got my start in broadcasting and now I work all over the country. I discovered my path in media, but I could have been an electrician. Or I could have been a nurse.
Maybe not.
Get paid to go solar.
We're not solar bros. At Grid, we're solar pros. We explain the process behind solar power so you can make an informed decision. We'll work with you to make owning your power as simple as possible and affordable with zero down financing and payment options. Our only goal is to save you money. Call Grid when you're ready to be independent of the power company.
Looking for the best barbecue in Madison County? Head over to Carver's Barbecue in Godfrey, Illinois. From loaded barbecue nachos to mouth-watering pulled pork, brisket, ribs, and more, Carver's serves up award-winning flavors you'll love. Family-owned, Carver's is all about fresh, made in-house dishes served daily. Come visit us at 2716 Groveland in Godfrey, or give us a call at 618-467-9999. Order online, get it catered, or stop by for the best smoked meats around. Where great flavors meet family tradition, you'll find Carver's Barbecue.
Since 1993, Sparks Junk Removal is always adapting to the needs of our clients. That is why we now offer weekly trash pickup for selected areas. Plus, we offer driveway-safe rubber-tired dumpster rental. Give us a call today at 618-781-1407 or visit us at sparksjunkremoval.net.
Hey, would you drop by the pharmacy? My doctor switched my cholesterol medication.
Yeah, will do, honey. I'm glad he's looking out for you.
OSF Healthcare can handle all of your family's primary care needs, including managing chronic conditions. Schedule an appointment today.
What are you doing?
We did our home insurance ourselves, but don't feel protected.
So you're building your own American Family Insurance roof line?
Yeah, life's better when you're protected under American Family's roof.
That's not how it works.
Dad, we'll go. It's gonna hit.
See, that's how it works.
For real protection, save up to 23% by bundling your home and auto with us.
With over 20 years of experience, Wilson's Tree Service has the expertise to handle all of your tree care needs. Licensed and fully insured, their team of experts are dedicated to providing reliable service. Plus, with a 24-hour emergency service line, Wilson's will always be there for you. Don't risk tackling that timber by yourself. Trust the local professionals at Wilson's Tree Service. Visit treeservicealtonil.org to get started today.
No matter the season, Play It Again Sports in Edwardsville has the gear the athletes need to get in the game. Whether you're shopping for the newest sports equipment or saving money on quality used gear, Play It Again Sports carries what you need to maximize performance to get the most out of every swing, kick, stroke, or shot. We'll even buy your used goods, paying cash on the spot. We carry all the gear for all the sports all year long. We're your hometown sporting goods store. Play It Again Sports, conveniently located at 4 Club Center Court in Edwardsville. Picture This and More has been a trusted name in the Alton community for more than 30 years, with the last 3 being right here on Broadway. We specialize in quality framing at affordable prices. We also feature works by local artists because we're proud of our community. If you have valued treasures to display and preserve, we're sure to have the perfect fit with our large selection of custom framing and display options. Whatever color, shape, or size, Picture This and More has the look you need. Stop by today and let us help you with your next project.
Village Dispensary has the best deals in Godfrey, Illinois with specials 5 days a week. Mondays roll in the week with 20 to 30% off select pre-rolls. Tasty Tuesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select edibles. Waxy Wednesdays, enjoy 20 to 30% off select concentrate and vape brands. Thirsty Thursdays, sip and save with 20 to 30% off all drinks. Flower Friday, grab like 3.5 gram flower deals starting at just $20. Village Dispensary, come meet your best buds.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Just where I stand, another serenader and another long-haired band. Today I am your champion. I may have won your hearts, but I know the game and you forget my name. I won't be here in another year if I don't stay on the charts.
Welcome back. Daily Show at 1040. Here's what you need to know. Our news brief now. The Illinois State Police are reporting a fatal traffic crash connected to a road rage incident that occurred on Fosterburg Road, just a few days ago in February near Brighton Bunker Hill Road. The Illinois State Police Troop 8 units and the Division of Criminal Investigations did respond to the scene following reports of this incident. One of the occupants was pronounced deceased at the scene. Fosterburg Road was closed during the investigation and reopened later that evening. Currently, no arrests have been made, and authorities assure that there is no threat to the public as the investigation remains ongoing. In a shocking incident in Edwardsville, Christopher L. Haug was charged on February the 18th with attempted first-degree murder and armed robbery. Among other felonies, Haug allegedly fired over 35 rounds into an occupied vehicle on the 16th of February, striking the victim multiple times and stealing personal property. A detention order has been filed revealing that Haug has a significant criminal history, including violent offenses, and is currently on parole. Witnesses, including Haug's roommate, corroborated the victim's account of the attack. Haug remains in custody as this investigation continues. Also in the news today, a 47-year-old man from Bethalto, Terry Fowler, has been charged with 3 counts of attempted vehicular hijacking and 1 count of aggravated battery following a troubling incident near Edwardsville School. On February the 14th, Fowler allegedly attempted to force entry into several occupied vehicles at a busy intersection before physically assaulting a police officer. Witnesses reported his erratic behavior and irrational statements as he pulled on door handles. Fowler, currently in custody, and fitness evaluations have been ordered to assess his mental competency to stand trial. And remember, all individuals charged are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. DeMarcus Tolliver, 36, from Alton, facing a Class 3 felony charge of aggravated battery following an incident that occurred in Marion County Horizon Center in Godfrey on December the 21st. Now, here's what we know according to court documents. Tolliver allegedly struck the victim multiple times with a closed fist, targeting the face and head. The Madison County Sheriff's Office has taken up the case, and although Tolliver was initially remanded to jail, he has since been granted pretrial release. It is important to note that all individuals charged are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. And finally, in the news today, Interim Police Chief Dave Womack was officially sworn in as chief. during the city council meeting on February the 18th in Grafton. Having served as interim police chief since November, Womack collaborated closely with former police chief Eric Spanton, and to ensure a seamless transition, a native of Grafton and previously the senior sergeant on the force, Womack expressed his honor in assuming the role, stating his commitment to serving the citizens of Grafton. Mayor Morrow praised Womack's extensive experience and dedication to law enforcement, expressing gratitude for his continued service to the community. And that will do it for your news today. All right, that's what's happening around the Riverbend. It's 49 degrees. It's going to be nice outside today. However, a shower in spots later this morning, otherwise mild with clouds, and nice afternoon for outdoor activities tonight. Mainly clear. We won't take a quick break. What I'll do, because I'm actually losing my voice and I have to go talk to Rotary, I'm going to play this conversation. We were supposed to talk with Mary Cordes. I don't know. Is it the last Monday of the month? Am I losing my mind today? I mean, that's not a good question. The answer is I already have lost my mind. Maybe March. Anyway, I don't know. All I know is that we had a great conversation with OSF Healthcare, as you can hear my chest rumbling. And I want to play that for you now. I'm not going to, actually I will say goodbye for now, live in studio, but we'll wrap up the show with this great conversation until we hit 11 o'clock. I'll be at Rotary tonight and having a great presentation about some of the things that our daily show does, and have some fun with it, and I'll see you back here tomorrow. But first, this great conversation.
No matter what they try to say, you were always there for me. Somewhere, when the sun begins to shine, I hear a song from another time.
Not bad for a 30-second type-in job. I think we're getting there. Leanne, how are we doing today?
Pretty good, CJ.
Well, it is still cold out there.
Yeah.
However, hope is out there, too.
It is.
By the time the 27th rolls around, I think you guys will have some pretty good weather for this Living with Chronic Illness group.
Well, that's what we're hoping.
Well, and now take me through this. Before we dive into the event, let's take a little bit of a look at, what you provide at OSF Healthcare.
So in psychological services, we provide generalist mental health care, depression, anxiety, trauma. We have 6 therapists and a psychologist, and we all have our specialties, but we all are generalists. Mm-hmm. So we can handle a lot of things, but we do groups. We do all kinds of groups for grief, depression, neurological groups, people that are getting dementia, but at the early stages, anger management groups. So we have a wide variety of things that we do offer alongside individual sessions, family sessions, couples. We do children. We have new therapists that we are onboarding very soon that will be doing kiddos. And we also have 2 other therapists that are also seeing young children.
Well, and, I think it's so important that you hit on the fact that you're all generalists with specialties because, so many times I think it's great that we have these conversations about mental health, and we do all the time on the show now, and I think it's so important. But I also think sometimes we start to kind of tunnel vision mental health into maybe 2 or 3 perspective categories of, like substance use disorder and, anxiety and depression. And we don't look at that anger management side or all these other broader scopes of that wheel that really do need to be addressed too.
Yes. And I'm glad you mentioned substance abuse because I did forget to mention that we do have our therapist, Marla Nelson, and she was
just on the show.
Yes. And so she is also cultivating some groups for family members and other people that are close to people that have substance use issues. alongside of people that are actually battling the issue.
This might sound like a silly question, but it's one that I've never asked before. I'm just kind of fascinated if you would know if there's a number. Is there a stat on, the success rate of somebody who's going through maybe therapy or some type of mental health session alongside their family or support system doing groups too? Has there been any data that comes out on that shows us? Because I would just imagine it's a very high, because your family is learning maybe how to handle some things, that they can encounter while you're going through your road to recovery. I just didn't know if that was a balancing factor.
So while I don't have any numbers off the top of my head, I do know that the research shows that when these things are combined versus just doing one thing, such as medication, or one thing such as just seeing a therapist one-on-one, we know that the combination of groups, support groups, so our groups are therapy groups, which is different. They're facilitated by a therapist, and we integrate the modes of therapy into the group setting. So that's different from support. But if you combine these things, the research shows that people do much better. The family is learning alongside the person that is trying to recover.
How is a group session a little bit different than an individual one-on-one session with a therapist? Because, at a broad look at it, I go, well, you can't be as intimate, but I feel like for some people, maybe they feel more confident to be a little bit more telling in a group setting than maybe one-on-one. I just didn't know, is there some pros and cons to the individualized and group settings?
Well, sure. And it really is individualized. It depends on the person, of course, but in a group setting, you do, such as the chronic illness group, they will be able to hear and see what other people are doing. That helps you not to feel so alone.
Makes sense.
Because the isolation is an issue for folks with chronic illness. Isolation is an issue for anyone with mental health issues a lot of the time. So it helps them to see that they're not alone. The therapy group is different from just a support group or individual in that as a group, you are learning strategies and skills together. And someone in the group may say, well, the reason I have trouble doing that is because XYZ, right? And then another person will say, that's why I haven't been using that skill. And so we can problem solve together, and the therapists can look into the group's discussion of this and lead them down and guide them down a road of coming to some resolution for that.
It's very fascinating. And, if you're just tuning in, coming down the pipeline on the 27th, is that Friday, Thursday?
It's on the 27th is a Wednesday. I might have it wrong.
That's Thursday. Is it
It's on Wednesday.
It's the 26th. Sorry about that. Hey, at least we're airing this out now. We're figuring it out early. This airs on the 20th. This will come out the 26th. 10:30 is when when it begins. It runs until 11:30. And this is at what portion of the hospital?
Right, and it's up in Psychological Services, which is on the 3rd floor, the West Wing, elevator 2 to the 3rd floor. We always say it. So we have a group room up there, and this will be weekly.
Really cool.
Yeah.
So take me through this. So I'm looking here and now just going through it. It's covered by most insurance plans, this group is.
Yes.
And what are some of the things that we can cover in this, and who is the right fit for this group?
Okay. So let's start right there, because someone might say, well, I've been sick for a long time. Is that considered a chronic illness? So a chronic illness is something that lasts for at least a year.
Okay.
And that you're going to need ongoing treatment, medical help or care, or have been told you're going to be needing this help or care for this, for a long time.
Yeah.
Chronic. It's daily. So that's kind of the criteria. For my group, I'm not going to sit down and count up months and years, right?
Right.
So that's the criteria.
And with this too, and this is something that I find so fascinating, you're exploring that that mental health, factor when it comes to chronic illness, because you hit on it earlier, just circling back to it, that independence. And, to me, I've always wondered that, and it's weird. But you always think about those people that, we think about the caregiver a lot, and man, they must be going through so much, and we think about the person battling that illness, but we don't ever think about the mental side of it, where it's like, man, that's got to be awful, to sit there if you're really free and independent, and now you can't be. How do you live your life and alter it,
Exactly.
Is that some of what's going to be discussed?
Absolutely.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, that piece of independence that maybe they've had to give up, that piece that they are a living, thriving, community-oriented person now feels, a little bit less able to do that. And 6 in 10 of Americans have been diagnosed with a chronic mental illness, and at least 4 in 10 have more than one.
How many have one and don't have it diagnosed?
A chronic illness?
I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about mental illness,
the mental illness that comes along with that.
That's what I was kind of curious. That's interesting,
right.
Because you don't know. Sometimes you just don't know until it hits you one day.
That is true. And a lot of times, maybe family or even the person themselves may say, well, I'm down because, I've got Crohn's disease, and that's why I'm just not clicking on all 4 cylinders. This is why I'm not sleeping. I'm isolating. When in fact, some depression has set in, right. And it has to do with things have changed.
Well, and what's so fascinating too is it seems like and just from observing folks that are maybe going through some tough battles, right now, and it's like, you see the public face of it, and it's like, wow, that's brave. I mean, I'm proud of you. But, I'm sure we don't see the actual internal, thought process of, just that turmoil alone. You're going through the battle of your lifetime. Some might be ending in a road that's fatal, and some might not. It's just, and what I find so important is your mentality and your mental fitness are probably going to be your best tool to get you through, that battle. Because if you're down, it's going to be hard for your body to fight off whatever it's fighting off.
That's very true.
This is so cool.
True.
I'm loving this. This is so fantastic. And now family dynamics come into play big time on this, because the strain on a family sometimes during, helping, that loved one that's battling a chronic illness can be tough.
Yes. What
are some of the things that you've discussed in these, type of settings before when it comes to the family dynamic?
Well, the family dynamic becomes, so say a parent, maybe they're not elderly, maybe not in their, in their upper 80s or upper 70s, anything like that. But they've always been the head of the household. Now they are feeling like they are being taken care of like a child, being told things like, well, you really shouldn't do that, Dad, because of your neuropathy in your legs.
Right.
And so, the family dynamic changes from parent to children to the adult children being more parental in their interactions, and that's really hard for a lot of people to take on.
I'm 100. I could only imagine, and I'm sure that comes with the boundary line too of when is it time to say I'm not an invalid too? Because that's what my grandma tells me all the time. I can still drive. I still fine. Don't tell me I can't go out when it snows. And
right.
And obviously she's not battling chronic illness, but there is a line though, I'm sure, when it comes to that caregiver-caree relationship.
Yeah. The other family dynamic that changes depending on the age of the person and what the chronic illness is, some of the children under 18 even are doing some of those things that are more caregiving and parental in nature. And the person that may come in like to one of these groups will say, I feel terrible that my 15-year-old son has to make supper every night.
It's true. That's very true. Well, and see, that's why I think these groups are so important, because sometimes you can get all the information you want from your therapist or your counselor or what have you, but it's not connecting because it's not coming from somebody that's living that same experience.
Exactly, and that is exactly what groups are are renowned for. They really help people to see that.
And now, so these are going to be every Wednesday, correct?
Correct.
And it's going to be from 10:30 to 11:30. It starts on the 26th at the Psychological Services Office, 3rd floor west at St. Anthony's Health Center.
Correct.
And how do we sign up?
So before someone can come in and participate in our therapy groups, they need to have an intake done. So sometimes we get calls that say, I really want to start this right away. And so I may be their primary, but I don't have time to get them in for an intake, but one of the other therapists can.
Cool.
Or, sometimes someone else will step in if they've got a no-show or a call-off or something. We try very hard to get folks into the groups that they're wanting, but they do need to have an intake first.
Really cool. And then now with that, they still have to call the line to register afterwards, correct? The phone number?
Usually initially they will call and say.
Gotcha.
Right. But as far as scheduling, on the intake day, they can say, sign me up. I want to start.
Cool.
If they're appropriate, that's what we'll do. We'll say, okay.
Before I let you go, can you take me through some of your other, do you have any other groups you'd like to fill us in on? Or?
Oh, sure. Well, I do a grief group on Tuesday nights from 5:30 to 6:30. And we cover all kinds of losses, not just the death of a loved one, but, we have different types of losses. We have a DBT group or Mood Masters group, which is for some of the younger kids that have difficulty regulating their mood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anger management. And like I said, for Marla, she is getting some substance use disorder groups for folks and families, for individuals and those loved ones that are living with those folks.
That's so unique.
We have caregiver group for those that are taking care of. It doesn't have to be an elderly person. Maybe you have a disabled child.
Yeah.
So all types of caregivers. We have the caregiver group. I know I'm missing. Oh, we have a 20-something group. We find now more than ever that our young adults are having difficulty launching.
Yeah.
And so this group is brought on by Rachel Brown, and she is doing a fantastic job helping those folks out. So,
well, I seriously mean, it's a great conversation, and I'm so glad to have you in the studio. And whenever you have time to come back in and fill us in more on, groups that you're providing and just some of the growth